So, hello everybody, and welcome back to OMSI 2. It's me, Simulation Section, also known as Handball Central, depending on what channel you do watch. Hopefully watch both, that would be exciting. You're at least halfway there by watching this video. And welcome to the project, the Adstow project. We're back once again with the latest beta variation of this absolutely, truly wonderful map. Once again, to take a look at one of the recently added and updated bus routes within the project, which is the 4A. So a few videos ago we did the number 4 route that does North Point and then Newlands and the circular that way. This time we're doing the 4A, which as you can probably guess does the anti-clockwise circular and does Newlands and then North Point. And we're going to be taking this vehicle out, YG06XKK, that was an ex-First Leeds Volvo B7TL Gemini 1. These were new to FirstBus in West Yorkshire in 2006. There was an absolute ton of them that they got. I absolutely loved them. I grew up with them on the local routes coming out of Halifax as well. So I used to go on these 06 plates quite a lot. And as Leeds got newer vehicles, the examples that were still based there got cascaded elsewhere, with First Eastern counties at Great Yarmouth and Norwich getting quite a lot of these buses. This example specifically was painted in the Red Coastal Reds colours, which was the iconic brand launched a few years ago for services around Great Yarmouth and Lowestoft, an area that had been quite neglected by bus services. They'd always had really old vehicles, so these vehicles added a sort of fresh new look, new branding and a bit of new love for the area. Nowadays the brand still exists. It's on B7TL Gemini buses, still looks really good, really resplendent, and is really respected around the area. And in this video, as I say, we'll be taking this bus on the 4A service. This repaint is part of the First Eastern Counties repaint pack that we have been looking at over the last few videos. There are so many repaints in this repaint pack, it's absolutely unreal. I was emailed by the incredibly talented individual who made this repaint pack going, do you want to have a look at it? And I love the FirstBus Eastern Counties network. It's not so long ago since I last went to Norwich. I absolutely love seeing all the different brands, deliveries, the different specific vehicles, and this repaint pack really does cover it all. You can drive specific vehicles, as you will have already seen in the previous few videos, and you can drive the larger used generalised brands as well. Usually in repaint packs you can only sort of drive the generalised route brands or something like that, but this repaint pack is that good that if a map ever came out of Norwich, you could accurately replicate the AI sort of traffic of different buses that run around Norwich on a day-to-day basis in the AI list for OMSI 2. As I say, you've got all the specific ones, like you've got 37722 that you saw in the video couple of videos ago, which was the City of Bradford B9 that's currently running around Norwich, still in City of Bradford colours. And you've got the likes of the first Glasgow B9 37532 that's still got its blue front from the 61s in Glasgow. That's also replicated in the repaint pack, as long as all sorts of other random individual vehicles. So it is an incredibly well thought through brand of both vehicles that are there in current day and some like this, which in the past few years have sadly bowed out. But it is still nice to have a little excuse to drive the B7TL and to drive the facelift one. So we will get our bits logged in. And we'll make a move and load up. So I've chosen, unlike usual, to actually keep the weather on in incredibly sunny setting, because at the moment we have very much entered spring, and as those of you have seen, around here it has become quite sunny. Not that warm, sadly, but quite sunny. So we are sort of like halfway there, halfway there to having the warm months of the year, which is really nice. It has been very miserable recently, very cold, all the politics stuff adding to the interesting day-to-day lives, and as I say, the weather's not helped either, so it is really nice to, at least, even though everything is all over the place in the world, it is just really nice to actually have some sunny weather at the moment, just to cheer up dampened spirits currently. So the vehicle that we are driving today, this is the Studio Polygon, or not the Studio Polygon, the Blueprint Productions. We've been driving a lot of Studio Polygon bits. This is the Blueprint Productions Gemini pack, which you can purchase from their website. This includes the B7TL and B9TL vehicles. With the B7TL and B9 both having many different variations, the most noticeable for the B7 is the variation between the older style dashboard on the original B7s that were made, and the newer style dashboard, which is very similar to the B9TL, which was on the vehicles that were sort of like the back end of 2005 onwards. These are the ones that I very much remember growing up with these dashboards on them. I've had the pleasure of driving one of the vehicles I actually grew up with, which, for the record, was absolutely awesome. 37046, which is with my friends at DM Motor Services. I had a drive of that quite a while ago now, actually. And that was one of the buses that I very much grew up with around West Yorkshire. It was a very staple diet of the allocations that we always had, and is now one of the last ones of those B7TL Geminis still out, still alive and kicking. So yeah, it's nice to see that some of them did survive. Now you think to yourself, being West Yorkshire and stuff like that, that there would have been more of a heavy influence from the B9TLs, because yeah, we got an absolutely huge batch of B9TLs in 2009. However, although B9TLs did arrive in 2009, and a couple of years later, I believe it was 2015, they started making more appearances towards Huddersfield. It wasn't until about 2018 that B9TLs properly took any level of influence in Halifax. Halifax happily sat in the corner, running a strong fleet of B7TLs up until about 2018, when B9 started to arrive and a couple of the B7s started to be withdrawn and cascaded. I was lucky enough to grow up on a Halifax run corridor, and it was just all B7TLs, just every single day B7TLs, and it was absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But we used to get these ones, these 370s, these were very much the common type of vehicle that we got. These were my favourite as well because they always had quite loud axle noises when they brake. That was always quite iconic when you were sat upstairs at the front, because that's all you could hear, because when you sat upstairs at the front you really couldn't hear the engine, but you could hear sort of the axle moving and what have as you were braking. It was always really cool. I absolutely loved it. And then you get the other older variations of the old dashboard as well. Some of the original 05 plates, they'd also make appearances too. And one of them, 32541, that is preserved, that's in preservation. That was a very, very quiet preservation acquisition with that. Usually there's quite a bit of a fuss about vehicles when they're preserved and stuff like that. But that was an incredibly quiet, and I fully do respect it. I really do respect it. But a very quiet preservation purchase. Wasn't really a big fuss made about it. But that is also preserved, so that's one of the 05 plates. One of my favourite 05 plates actually was 41. Definitely one of the better ones by a long mile. Really, really was. So it's really nice that that one is in preservation. yeah, this is all we used to have. And even when Halifax got their first B9TLs, said B9TLs were actually banned from service work. They were school bus only vehicles when they first arrived. Yes, yes, I'm not kidding. They were banned from service work when they first rocked up. So when they first arrived, it was still B7TLs across board. B9TLs did schools only, and then eventually started to do a bit of service work when a few more B9TLs arrived from Leeds. Now let's. Oh, that's a building. We don't want to be inside a building. That's not the vibe today. Can't get a good angle on this. It's a nice screenshot up as well. I just cannot get a can't get a good angle. It's very much a me thing, is that, like, everything is set up, everything works. It's just me that can't get the angle that I want out of this. There we go. That'll do, and then we will continue. So I do highly recommend the First Eastern Counties, the repaint pack. It is linked in the description below. I do seriously recommend it. And the amount of repaints, every time I spawn in the buses and have a look at more repaints, I discover even more. Yes, I've had a look at the list of the repaints available and all of that, but even then I still discover even more repaints. Like there's the likes of the Heritage Great Yarmouth colours, the blue and sort of cream of or blue and white of the Great Yarmouth livery, the Heritage livery for the B9, that I've only ever seen in person once, I think. I haven't even got a photograph of it. I think I've seen it in person once, and I have spawned it in and had a look at it, and it is absolutely gorgeous repaint. It really is. So we'll be featuring that in a future video. I just thought we'd better go with the B7 this time because we've done a lot with the B9 recently. Let's see if I can get a screenshot here, because this looks like an alright angle and the lighting is lovely and we love the lighting. The only issue is because it's slightly sideways. I think that's what's messing it up a little bit. Because I can't get the angle because it's all on a camber that isn't ideal. So let's see if we can get a nice shot of it turning right. We've still got some level of lighting on it. We've lost the main lighting. That is a shame. So no, we'll keep going. There'll be another opportunity. Just get ourselves up this hill. It is also really nice in OMSI 2 to have a high quality, properly detailed B7TL. It really is. Because for those that have been around in the OMSI world just as long as I have, you'll know that we used to have the likes of the MM2 conversion, and it just wasn't the same. It just the quality just wasn't there. And I mean, you look at what we've got now, and don't get me wrong, back then that's what we had. Like, unfortunately, we didn't have as much as you get nowadays in OMSI, so we sort of just made do with it. But it's really nice to actually now have a proper B7TL that you can have a drive of, and enjoy. And you've got all the different variations and all the different repaints and all the different excitement, and it's just ace. It's really good. Let's see, does that work as an angle? I think a little bit more. That'll do. Let's see if we can get a nice screenshot of it here. I know it's not the most scenic in the world, but I just want to get a nice, because it is just such a lovely livery, is the Coastal Reds. It really, really is such a nice livery. And I do really want to try and convey that across in the screenshots, because it is an absolutely, truly beautiful livery. But I just cannot seem to get the angle this morning. I really can't, or this afternoon, or yes, whatever time it is. Whatever time it is of the day, I just can't seem to get the right angle on it. There we go. That might make a difference. That looks good. I like that. That'll do. Screenshot acquired. You know you've got a good circular service when you're driving the other way in the circular and you just get a totally different perspective, a different angle, a different bit of excitement from it. And that's what I'm getting from this, where we're doing the route in a totally different direction. Apart from little bits like that loop in Sainsbury's, it feels like a totally different route to the number 4. Like, I'm always quite sceptical when I'm showcasing maps off, and there's so many different routes of doing the same route. If it's a circular, doing sort of the opposite way around, I'm always a bit sceptical of it, because I want to showcase obviously the new bits and the new bits of excitement and the bits of variety. But with this map, and I knew it would be the case, because I know how much love and care has gone into Adstow, but you've got the different variations of the bus stops this way, you've got the different sort of angles, you've got bits like the challenge with the camber and when you're turning and bits like that. Like, you've got a totally different realm of new challenges, which is really cool. And it just adds that variety. Oh, this might be a nice screenshot. Oh, I think it is. Oh, I think we might have acquired the thumbnail. I very much do. If I can get the angle right. Yeah, I think that may be the thumbnail shot. This was the angle that we were looking for, definitely. Gotta get the angle right. Gotta make sure we get it. And showcase, because I'm all about, when we're doing these videos, especially showcasing the repaints as well, I'm all about showcasing the repaint in that thumbnail, because as you can see, the repaint looks absolutely stunning. So it is all about showcasing it. See if we can get that. There we go. And now let's try not to get wiped out by these cars. So we'll stop here and let them through, because that seems like a real sensible thing to do. Got a lot of people on the 4A. I think when we did the number 4, we only covered like 2 people, clearly making up for it. But I haven't been to Lowestoft yet. I have done Great Yarmouth, as you'll have all seen on the main channel at More Central. I've done all the real life vlogs and bits around there. But I haven't been to Lowestoft. I do know that the Coastal Red brand, although First is obviously trying to go towards more ultraviolet, there is a couple of... I very much misjudged that turn, I'm going to be honest. Although there is a couple of ultraviolet vehicles at the moment running around Norwich, ultraviolet and a bit of Great Yarmouth. They've got a few street decks over there from the Badger Line network. Although they've got a little bit of ultraviolet, they've not got as much ultraviolet as some other areas yet, so they've still managed to retain a couple of the brands, and Coastal Reds is one of them. And you can also drive the Coast to Coast livery with this repaint pack. I feel like that's quite obvious anyway. If this is included, coast to coast will be included. It is also featuring in an upcoming video, so there'll be another video on coastal reds and there's another video on coast to coast. So they're coming up in the same video again, like we did last time on my previous visit. Only this time the coast to coast vehicle that we catch is actually a much more exciting bus than one of the E40Ds. I'm very glad I took this on this way around on this route and not the long B7R, I will be honest. There seem to be a few tight bits here and there on this route. How we're doing for time? We're pretty much on time actually. Remember when we did it the other way around, we ended up quite early getting back into Adstow, but this way around we seem to be more just cutting it quite fine for time, to be fair. It is worth mentioning as well while we are here, because I haven't mentioned it at the beginning of the video like I usually do, that this map that we are driving is a work in progress. It is still being worked on, and it is a beta release. So that means that it isn't available yet, there's no links for it, nothing like that, it isn't published yet. Believe me, when it does get published, you will know about it. There will be more videos on the channel, we will be announcing its release, we'll be having a drive up the finalised routes and all of that lovely stuff. But for now it is a work in progress, which does mean that there are areas of this map that you may have looked at and gone, oh my goodness me, that doesn't look right, that looks like it needs finishing, or you may have seen bits of AI people or traffic behaving badly. That is because it is a work in progress map, it is still being worked on, it is in beta testing, which means yes, I am showcasing it to you all, but this isn't the final finished product. There is still bits to add, there's still bits to finish, there's still bits to sort, there's still bits to fix, and as part of the beta testing process, as you are seeing now, that is what we are looking out for, the bugs and bits, so that we can make sure that they're all sorted, ready for its release. So when this map does get released, it will be absolutely spot on. I've had the privilege of watching this map being built upon for the past about 5 or 6 years at least, something like that. And I know the person that has been working on it quite well, so I can very, very much guarantee that when this map is released, it will be perfect. It will be absolutely spot on, it will be the belle of the ball, it will be as good as it can be. Seriously, because the person that has made this has put a lot of heart and soul and effort into this. Then again, it is worth mentioning as well, there is no release date for it. That is because it is literally just one person working on this at the bus stop. I was too busy looking at the signs. If I move this forward a bit, are you gonna want to get on? Oh, okay, I assume you're waiting for the next bus then. That's fine. That was entirely me, because I was too busy looking at all the signs, and I was like, oh yeah, bus stop. It just slightly hidden to the side. What time are we due back? So I didn't look at that. 44. Oh gosh, we are. This is the bit where we're catching up some time now by the looks of it. Whenever it all gets a little bit early. Engines. Not something you do with a set of lights usually, but engine bonnet. And to be fair, I didn't even realise you could open that. It's just not something you do when you're just sort of driving along and ticking off different routes and bits like that. You see, with this batch as well, these earlier YZ06s, I do remember these when they were painted in Olympia in Leeds many moons ago, 2016 I want to say, 2015, 2016. They were one of the first batches of buses in West Yorkshire painted into Olympia, and they were branded for the 1s and the 6s. The 6 back in the day did what the 23 does now. I want to say 23. Could be wrong. What the 23 does now, which is Holt Park, Tinshall, the top of Horsforth, and then down to Headingley and down into Leeds. That was the blue line, sky blue line was that. That was sky blue. I've got timetable leaflets from it from back in the day somewhere. And they had that branding on, because if you remember the old Olympia livery, the original branding style was a very thin strip of rectangular branding on the top bit of the windows here, so it sort of ran like a really thin strip across with a sort of opposite way round rectangle for the service number. So it was incredibly small and subtle branding, which I did always think, as much as it looked alright, the branding was really subtle. So it wasn't a surprise it didn't last that long, because you really couldn't see it, and you want to be able to read the branding and see the branding and appreciate it, otherwise you then argue, well, what's the point of the branding? Like this is coastal red, you can see the massive coastal red bits. And so they carried the sky blue bit, and then in front of that they also carried the brown line number 1, which originally was the FirstBus number 1 that used to use B7TLs that operated between Beeston, through Leeds, past the railway station, never into the bus station, never went in. Then up to Headingley, and then straight up via Lawnswood, and as an X84 did direct to Holt Park, so none of the Tinshall or top of Horsforth bits, so it just went direct. So they used to change service numbers when they got to Holt Park, so they'd run in as a 1, one out as a 6, to facilitate driver changeovers and mileage and timetabling and all those various bits and bobs. Nowadays the number 1 is split into 2, so I believe the 24, I want to say, does the 24, no, I think the 24 goes all the way up to Holt Park. See, I genuinely have no idea what does what now. I know that they split it, so that they, just before they renumbered everything, the number 1 went as far as Lawnswood, and then there was a different service that was launched that covered the run all the way through, that started in the bus station that went to Holt Park. And I think they've done it now, so that the number 1's now the 24, and I want to say that goes all the way up to Holt Park, so that's Holt Park to Beeston like it originally was. So there's that. And then there's the 25 that now just runs from the bus station to Lawnswood, and then the 22 that runs from the bus station to Headingley campus. I genuinely don't know. I know that corridor. I mean, this is also going back. I don't even know it's the 6. I know it as the 1, the 20, the 28, the 96, and the 97, and that's how I know it. That's how I remember that corridor. All these other random wacky numbers when they did the renumbering series to the 20s. just absolutely baffles me. It really does baffle me. So I just know it as the 1, the 28, the 96 and the 97, and the X84. But there's been so many renditions. There was one point, there was the number 10 that did the Leeds to Beeston bit of the 1 when they split the 1 into 2 when they were doing works in the city centre in Leeds. So there was that variation. Then there's been the X85 that went via Poole up to Otley, that ran about every hour, I think it was. Then it went down to every 2, and then they got rid of it. Then there's been various renditions of the 28. There was the 28B that Gaudages used to run. Then there was the 29 that Yorkshire Buses operated, that ran to the Uni Steps. At first, originally ran them, first gave it up, and YB took it over. The 97's been renumbered to the 27. That's probably the most unchanged out of everything on that corridor now, I want to say. With numbers wise, renumbering and route changes, the 27, 97 is probably the most unchanged on there in recent times. Back in the day, that route that is now the 27 used to go all the way through to Bradford. So in the bigger picture, yes, it has been drastically changed. However, in more recent times, it's stayed relatively the same. That's lucky, I will say. I don't think we've ever got a green light on this junction there before. That's definitely a first. Well, didn't mean to pat the horn. Yeah, these buses did Leeds, then when they started to be replaced in Leeds, got the words out then, they went to Bradford, and I remember them all running around Bradford. Went on. I've been on pretty much every single one of these, including 37031, which was the fire damaged example, which had quite a bad fire quite early on in its serviceable career, and ended up in South Yorkshire. They swapped it over with the B9, so the B9TL, which ironically also caught fire. 37258. A B9 that was at Huddersfield that I always thought I'd been on, and I never actually went on it. At 37258 and 37031 swapped with each other. I think 37031. I know it had a bad fire. I don't know if it had a bad crash as well. But it had a bad fire. It went to the commercial unit at Rotherham, got rebuilt. And then for whatever reason, I think it was to do with an RTC with the B9. The B9 also got rebuilt, but they swapped them over, so the B7 stayed in South Yorkshire, and the B9 went up to West Yorkshire, went to Huddersfield. As I say, both of which caught fire. The B9TL's career was finished with its fire a couple of years ago. That one bowed out because it was quite a bad fire up in Marsden on the 185. But 37031, that was a good one. Went on that 1 or 2 times in South Yorkshire. I can't remember where that one ended up. I think it got withdrawn from South Yorkshire. I'm sure it went somewhere. I'm sure it did. I want to say it went to another depot, but I also, as I say that, I'm not sure if it actually got donated to like fire service or something. Something happened. I know something happened to it after it got withdrawn. Something happened to it. Yeah, there's not many of these left. All the ones from Great Yarmouth, they all got scrapped because at the time, quite rightly, preservationists were more interested in some of the other ancient stuff that were coming up around the same time when they got rid of their B7s. It is quite funny because Great Yarmouth has ended up being the last place to run a B7 Gemini that was within the first bus op. That was really strange. 32348 was the very last one. An LK53 B7TL Gemini, new to London in 2003. It was an open top from the Great Yarmouth Seafront. For those of you that have watched my open top bus video on the cab relay service that they operate in Great Yarmouth every year, you will know that I managed to ride on it. It sort of appeared for like a singular round trip and a half. I think it did a round trip and then it did a short working and came off. And I managed to do it on the last bit of the short working, so I got a nice video of it, nice ride on it. That vehicle, literally, I think it was 2 weeks after that video was filmed, got withdrawn. I think it literally did 2 more days in service. One of them was a full day, one of them was a half day, because they never like to put it out. They like to put it out for a little bit and then swap it off for a B9, because the B9s were branded. And then I think it did a little bit in Norwich, covering the East Enviro 400 on the open top bus service we did in Norwich. You're not wanting this, so we'll keep going. The 100 service, the Norwich sightseer, that for those of you who remember, we went on that with the E400. Commentary on it, really nice refurbished bus, really, really good brand. Thoroughly recommend it. So this year, if you do head over to Norwich, I'd recommend going on the open top bus around the city. It's so good, and you will be so surprised how much is going on in that city. The B7 covered that because that 32348 used to be the Norwich sightseer bus and was replaced last year when they relaunched it with the E400. So it used to be it. They replaced it. So it ended up doing, I think, a couple of weeks back on that whilst the E400 was away for some work. And then after that it got withdrawn. So I ended up accidentally going on the last B7TL in use, in active service with FirstBus UK, which was rather unexpected, I must say. Rather unexpected, although it was like the last time I went on the last Olympian in public service as well, the last closed-top Olympian in public service with First West Yorkshire, and I believe FirstBus UK was the last open topper as well. So yeah, just the kind of stuff I do, So here we are. We have made it back to Adstow. So that was a nice enough run. I've thoroughly enjoyed it with the 4A service, the anti-clockwise circular of the route that we did a few videos ago. It was really nice to see just how much different variety goes on when you're doing the route the opposite way. Sometimes you can find that with routes like this, and I mean, I'm guilty for it when I'm building them, where one circular has all the exciting stuff and all the exciting bus stops and exciting bits of variety, and then you do the other one and it's just all a bit boring with all the same bus stops and all of that lot, and there's no exciting. But this, it was really cool to see all the different bits of variety, all the different unique bits and bobs, on all the different sort of angles and bits like that, and perspectives that you don't see when you're doing the route the other way around, which is always good. Again, my final reminder, it is a work in progress map. There's no release date yet, and it is still in beta testing. You can download the repaint pack for free. I'll leave the link in the description below, and you can purchase the bus with the B9TL as part of the Blueprint Productions Gemini pack, which I do highly recommend, from their website. With all that said and done, I really hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, then do be sure to click that like button, as that way more people can find the video and enjoy it just like you have. And if you haven't already, then do be sure to subscribe to the channel simulation section for more content like this from the OMSI 2 and Train Simulator worlds. You can also check out my other channel, my main channel, and More Central for all my real-life adventures, including adventures quite recently to Norwich and Great Yarmouth. Thanks again for watching, thanks again for your continued support, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, mate. Bye for now. Bye.